It's the Tony Tone Show on Vintage Sound 93.1 FM, Sunday night on CNN. Season 2 of United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell kicks off, and you can watch that. He's also got a new book coming out this May. 2 different podcasts, stand-up comedy, and he was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon last night. So he's just doing it all, and he's apparently awake to be on the radio with me right now on the MockLink TV and Internet Celebrity Hotline. W. Kamau Bell, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the great state of Iowa.
Thanks. I've been there twice in the last few months.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Was it for United Shades of America, or was it comedy stuff, or what?
No, I performed at Coe College and Grinnell College.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Usually when I talk
I'll go anywhere, man.
I know. I was going to say, usually when I talk to people, a lot of people have either never been to Iowa or they have, and it's just been like a long time. So that's fantastic. And I appreciate you doing this, considering, and I know it doesn't, like, it's not live at 10:30, but you were on Jimmy Fallon last night, so this is great. You're doing like.
I was just on New Day about an hour ago. Like this is the gig, man. This is what we do. This is the glamour of show business.
Yes, the PR grind, right? And
yes, yeah.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, when you interviewed Richard Spencer, had he been punched in the face yet, or no? Was that before?
No, he had not been punched in the face. I mean, if Richard Spencer is a stock, we got in pretty early. I mean, when we booked him, he was not nationally known. And then as we got closer to the interview, we were like, oh, that guy's sort of been popping up places. Then we did the interview, and it was like he was like surrounded by media, and then he got punched in the face, and it's a viral hit in more ways than one.
So I was watching a sneak peek of the interview that you did with him on YouTube last night, and it made me. So I'm a 6'5" giant white guy, and I felt like so uncomfortable and embarrassed. And he was telling you that he wants to make like white privilege great again, and it just.
Yeah,
I don't know how you.
Which, let's be honest, white privilege is already pretty good. It's not like white privilege is hurting.
Right.
he just white privilege it's got an A, and he wants to make sure white privilege has an A plus. Is basically what the deal is. And but the thing is, there's a part of Richard Spencer that I think there's something in there. Like he says, white people need to claim their whiteness, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. But the problem is, it shouldn't just be white people like him.
Right.
The way that every black person claims their blackness, and some black people you agree with, and some black people you don't. So you can claim it like Ben Carson claims it, or you can claim it like Questlove claims it. I prefer the Questlove version. So but with Richard Spencer, generally in this country, white people only claim. When white people claim it, it's a Richard Spencer / Ku Klux Klan way. It's not like good white people who are like, I have to be white to sort of stand up against his whiteness.
I just hope that, like Richard Spencer has probably not had the same experience that I did when I was like 13. So I grew up in Oak Park outside of Chicago in the suburbs, and Oak Park is a super diverse town. And I'll never forget one day during the summer after like an AAU basketball, I was walking with 2 friends of mine. One of those friends happened to be black. We were walking to 7-Eleven, and like an older lady was walking her dog, and she did that like awkward cross the street. And I remember thinking like, wow, that was weird. And my buddy was like, yeah, it's because of me. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, why would she do that? And for me, that was such an eye-opening moment, because he was like, I have to deal with stuff like this. And at 13, I was like, oh my gosh, this is still a thing. And now I'm 33, and it's still a thing. Like, I don't understand. What?
Yeah. Somewhere there's a 13-year-old white guy and a 13-year-old black guy who are having the same conversation that you had back then.
Right. I don't get it. So I think that, like, what you're doing with United Shades of America, and I know that the season that's going to kick off on Sunday on CNN at 9 o'clock was shot, like, during the election, but, like, it's so important to have content like that, and your book and your podcast and your comedy. We really need it now more than ever, because people don't need to be afraid to have conversations that make them uncomfortable, and I don't know why that exists. It's maddening.
Yeah, I mean, I learned from this, from the season of United States of America, because not only did I talk to Richard Spencer, and I also talked to immigrants and refugees, and most of the first episode is really about immigrants and refugees, but I also talked to, gang members on the south and west side of Chicago. But then I also talked to poor white people in Appalachia. And the thing is that, when you talk to, on the south side of Chicago and Appalachia, you think like, oh, these people, don't have much in common, but guess what? They all want better jobs and they all want better schools. And so when you cut out the sort of like electoral politics team sport aspect and actually talk about the root problems and how we fix those problems, we're all generally going to be on some version of the same page. We may not all want to live in Chicago or live in Berkeley like I do, but we generally want the same thing for our people. And I think the problem is that Trump capitalized on the fact that electoral college in this country is a team sport.
Right. And for the people that were so surprised when he won, it's like, have you not been paying attention? Because I think for some of us, 8 years in an Obama presidency were great. And then for other people, it was 8 years of just turmoil and struggle. And a lot of those people showed up this past November and voted. So it seems like now for the people that are still surprised, like, I don't know how this happened. Like, it happened, and what are you going to do? I mean, you have to live your life and go to work and take care of your family. Like, I just don't have time to dwell in, like, this, I don't know, it's like social media for the most part. There's people that are like, every day they're just doom and gloom, and I just wake up and think, well, I have to go to work and take care of my family, and I can't live like that. So,
yeah, and let's remember, like, we spent a large part of the Obama presidency talking about whether or not he was born in America. And even though he had to pre-proved it multiple times, which for me was like, it made my stomach hurt every time, there were still people who like did not want to believe it. And we tried to pretend it was a fringe group of people, but what we found out through the Trump presidency is there was a pretty sizable group of people in this country who never were going to accept a black man as president. And so voting for President Trump was like, I want the opposite of that. Like, I want the opposite of a black man who's the president. A white woman Democrat, that's too close. I want the opposite of a black man who's the president.
So what do you prefer? Like, is it United Shades? Obviously, I mean, we're talking about that, but the book comes out in May, and podcasts and doing stand-up comedy. Do you have a preference, or do you like being able to put content out on all these platforms?
No, I mean, I think if I'm honest, the thing I most prefer is 8 hours of sleep, but I haven't really gotten to do that in a few years. I have 2 small daughters, too, and I'm married, so that's what I would, and 8 hours of sleep doesn't really pay that much, it turns out.
Right.
So, but for me, if I'm going to be in show business, which, it seems like I am because I haven't developed any other job skills, I like the fact that I have several different ways that I can put out work and several different ways that I can sort of scratch my creative itches. I really feel good about the fact that, like, anything from like my podcast, Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period, to my podcast, Politically Reactive, that's about a comedy podcast about politics, through like doing stand-up comedy, my book, The Awkward Thoughts of Kamau Bell, and United Shades of America. They're all sort of, if you pay attention to all of them, which I don't suggest you do, that's a lot of content, but also you can watch Game of Thrones. But, if you pay, it's still, I'm me at all those things. I don't dramatically change. It's just my focus changes. And for me, that's fun. I feel like I don't want to get caught up in just one thing being my entire job.
No, I think it's fantastic. And I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and like I'm busy with radio, even though it's radio in Iowa. Like I have an event tonight that I'll be out of the house from like 9 till 2 a.m. and then something tomorrow. So how have you found the balance with work and family? Obviously, you're probably in New York doing all this press, but then will you be able to get back home for a while, or what?
I'm not spending as much time with my family as I'd like to, and my daughters are old enough now where they can tell me that to my face. like when I leave, they actually are aware that I'm leaving. They get upset. But I do appreciate, like, they do understand that this is what I do for a living, and this is my job. And as much as it frustrates them, they do understand that. I appreciate the fact that they get that. But yeah, I mean, it's hard when you have a family because the goal is to provide for your family. And the thing about show business, you have to strike while the iron is lukewarm.
Right.
I can't trust that I'm going to look up in a year and things are still going to be going this well, or things could change completely. And so for me, it's about, like, this is because I love my family, want to provide for them, that I'm taking all available jobs, but the thing is, when I'm home, I just try to make sure I'm super focused on them, and that I don't go home and then get 8 hours of sleep. I get the same little sleep because I want to get up with my girls and help them get to school and make pancakes for breakfast. So really, it's about, like, really being present in all the places.
Yeah, it's appreciating that normalcy, isn't it? I mean, it's really just, those are the best moments. Well, listen, I don't know how you do it all. Sunday night, 9 o'clock Central, United Shades of America with W. Kamau Bell. Season 2 is out. The book comes out in May. Podcast, comedy, apparently, in the great state of Iowa. Please come back when you have time and keep up the great work, sir. I appreciate what you're doing, and it's going noticed, and people are, I just think that we need more people like you doing multiple things and being out there and having conversations that are uncomfortable for some people. So thank you for the time and for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Take care.